Hello and welcome to the 5th Young Guns podcast. My name is Tyler.
And my name is Louis. And let's jump straight into things. First of all, we're going to go over our predictions from last episodes. So I predicted, and you predicted actually as well, I think we had the same predictions, that the Boston Bruins would go through to the Stanley Cup final. And they did so in resounding fashion.
They actually won 4-0 against Carolina, which I actually predicted. I know you said in 5, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but still,
I said 5.
We were both correct. We were both correct about that one. And then, unfortunately, I lost my prediction, and you actually won. I said San Jose was going to win in 6 or 7, and you said for the Blues.
Yeah, I've been really riding this Blues train all along, and we'll see later in the episode whether I stick with that or not. But, I think we have a really interesting final on our hands. I think, surprisingly, Boston is, the less physical and probably more skilled team, but, both of them can really throw their weight around, and they're both have really hot goalies right now. So I think it should really be an interesting matchup to see. And honestly, I think, in my mind, St. Louis gives Boston more of a fight than San Jose, who are really banged up towards the end of the series as well. And that's good news for me because I don't want Boston to win.
Yeah, and talking about that last Blues series, I was actually surprised that the Blues won, but more so in Game 6. I was not expecting San Jose to have that many players injured, and I think that really cost them the series because you had Hurdle, Carlson, and I think Pavelski as well. And you have those top guys not playing, and I think that cost them the series. And now you're saying, it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Which the Bruins, I think it was a bit too easy for them against Carolina. To be honest, I think that was I thought that was going to be a weakness for them going into this round because I was thinking they got an easy opponent, 11 or so days off. As we saw, I don't know if you watched the game, but I watched it and I saw the first period was a bit unorganized for them.
It was pretty rusty, yeah.
Yeah, and then they got back into it. So I think that rustiness was not really that bad, especially that their guys got to heal as well for that 11-day break.
Yeah, but you know what I'll say to that? Well, actually, first of all, I think you were saying about San Jose and all their injuries, I think it was almost karma catching up with them with all those lucky calls and everything. But yeah, you were saying about the fact that they missed 11 games. I thought that actually St. Louis would have an advantage because St. Louis had 5 days to rest, and Boston had 11. So I think 5 days is enough to give your body time to recuperate and everything.
But still have that adrenaline.
Yeah, you're still sharp. You still have that edge to your game.
Yeah.
I thought that Boston was gonna come out of the gate sloppy, and maybe that would be a disadvantage. And actually, I was wondering, why did the league give that 5-day break for us to go into the Stanley Cup final? Obviously, the league's not gonna rig anything against one of their biggest markets in the Bruins, but it was pretty confusing to see that. But at the same time, like I said, anything for the Boston Bruins to lose, so I'm not gonna be the one complaining from the rooftops.
And I just want to re-mention this. I'm not voting for the Bruins. I just think they have a better team. By no means am I a Bruins fan. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm still a Habs fan.
Yeah, we can't. I think once we are indoctrinated into the Habs fan base, if you show your support for the Bruins in any way, then you're pretty much shunned.
Yeah. So if we look at the Bruins, they've had 11 days of rest, like we mentioned. Their forwards line looked like this. At center line, we got Bergeron with Marchand, Pasternak. Then we have Krejci, DeBrusk, Backes. On the third line, we have Charlie Coyle, Marcus Johansson, and Danton Heinen. And then finally on the fourth line, we have Kuraly, Nordstrom, and Ishari. So I think that's a really solid top 4. I'd agree. I'd say that they have more offense in the Blues and more depth as well. I don't know if you agree about that or.
Well, I think both teams have a lot of depth, and both teams have the style of or not style of play, but the depth option, so that like every line's going to be dangerous against you. Uh, if we were recording before game one, I'd be kind of doubting that fourth line and with Achari, Nordstrom, and Corrali.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I just don't see them as well. No, they're good fourth line players, sure, but they're not exactly, in my mind, they're not scoring threats necessarily. But like if you now after the game, they do seem to be playing pretty well and like gelling. And if nothing else, they create offense through the intensity that they
Yeah.
bring.
They
So they're
create
not necessarily
chances.
the skilled guys like you know Marchand or whoever you want to cite, but they are energy guys.
Yeah.
So
And also, Johansson played an amazing game, but we'll get into that in a bit.
yeah.
On defense, the first pair is Chara and McAvoy, which I think is amazing. And then you have Torrey
Well, Chara
Krug.
might be out, but who knows?
Yeah, yeah. You have Krug, Carlo, and then Grzelcyk and Clifton. And then on goalies, you have Tuukka Rask and Halak. Honestly, then again, I'd say I don't really know Clifton and Carlo, but I'd say on the left side with Char, Krug, and Grzelcyk, they're pretty okay, and they're pretty good actually. And then they have
I
McAvoy,
don't.
which is amazing.
I don't even. I really like McAvoy. I don't even know if Chara's like, because I've been ripping on Chara for like, not a few years, or like I've been ripping on Chara for like I think the last 2 years now. I just don't think he's really adapted. Not in the sense that he has not adapted. Like I'm sure he's tried to switch up his game, but like I don't think at the point of his career that he's at and everything, it really allows him to play the sort of effective like puck moving type game that Boston would really benefit from.
Yeah,
Because his skating isn't really good, and he's kind of a huge lumbering presence out there, but he's not exactly the smoothest passer, the smoothest skater. So I just don't. He's great. He's got that long stick and everything. That's never gonna go away. And I think what Chara brings isn't really necessarily like a top pair defenseman, even though he might be playing on the top pair. It's more like he's been in Boston for so long and he's a beloved character. And like whenever Chara, for example, lays a big hit or even scores a goal when it does happen, people like everyone gets energized. It's like
yeah.
it infuses excitement. So I think that's more where where he really shines.
He's like a
But I don't know if
legend.
he's the best
He's like a
defenseman.
legend still playing. He's in the last few years, and honestly, I want to know your opinion. If you'd have to rate this roster out of 10, what would you give it,
Um,
and why?
I'd probably give it like a 8.5
Eight and a
because
half.
yeah, out of 10. Because the reason is I don't think, like I said, I think that there is like some things where it's like I'm not a huge fan of Chara, and like they got some guys like Bacchus where it's like what's he doing on the second line, but at the same time, I think that some people would give this team 10 out of 10. I could see how you'd give the team 10 out of 10 if you like included chemistry. Like right now, I'm just looking at the names that I'm seeing in front of me. Like,
Yeah,
for example, and you contrast that with like Tampa, where I'd give their roster a 10 out of 10 in terms of like the names on that sheet, but then it just kind of fell apart for him. Well, and then there was also injuries and everything, but Hedman obviously pretty big injury, but you look at like these guys and they just like know how to play with each other, and they've just kind of figured it out. But I mean, they're skilled for sure. I'd give it like a 8.5 out of 10. I don't know how you feel about it, but
honestly, I would go to a 9. Two main points for me as to why I would not go up to a 10. First of all, like you said, chemistry is really important. I think there's not much you can add to their forwards. It's more in terms of defense. I feel like they're a bit lacking on the right side with Carlo and Clifton. Then again, I don't really know them, but from what I've seen, they don't seem to be that good. And then
Yeah.
goalies, I think it's pretty shaky. Although Rask has like I think
Shaky.
yeah,
Really?
in the past, not like right now.
Yeah.
If I'd
Okay.
have to say right now, then Tuukka Rask is playing amazing. But then overall, overall his career, he's been shaky in the playoffs, and I think that contributes to a 9. Whereas if I'd have to say like right now, how they're playing, it'd have to be like a 9.5. Like they're playing amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind their goaltending. I think their goaltending is pretty like Rask for me. He's kind of like a temperamental goalie and everything. Like
Yeah,
for obviously as a has-been, like when I watch Carey Price, yeah, he does have his moments and his streaks where he's like not playing great, but like when he's on top of his game, he's like so calm. But also like Halak is kind of a, how do I say, like a joker, because
yeah.
I'd say he'd be a starter on some teams,
Hmm.
and let's say Raska is shaky, you can put Halak in there and have some confidence in him. Like I don't think Halak is a bad goalie at all, and obviously it's not easy for any goalie to just jump into the Stanley Cup final, but if it comes to that, then I think that the Bruins are a lot more confident in that than, let's say, well,
To-
what's Jake
Thomas
Allen, I guess,
Grace,
for. Oh
or
well,
yeah,
Thomas Grice is
I'm
not a
just
bad option. Not a
yeah,
bad option too. Even though last year Thomas Grice, I'd be like, okay, time
yeah,
to pack it up. But if you go for the St. Louis Blues' backup, then Jake Allen, like I'm not sure about that one.
yeah. And like also, it's more also for the goalie talk. It's more of like, we have Price is like our top one. They have like two goalies that are good. I wouldn't say Tuukka Rask is amazing. Like he's not Vezina type goalie. That's why I'm saying they don't really have that franchise goalie. I don't know if you agree with me on that one, but
I don't know if Rask is a franchise goalie, but I'd
yeah,
say he is. I'd say he's an elite. He's an elite goalie, I
yeah,
would
that's what
say.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, it's like sometimes that's all you need. That sometimes if you can score and just have like a star slash elite goalie backing you up, then that's all you need to go far. So
Yeah, I think that's it for the Bruins lineup. I don't know if you wanted to go into the Blues lineup.
well, yeah, I think we're done for the Bruins, but we can look at the Blues now.
Yeah,
So the first line, we got Schwartz, Shen, and Tarasenko, which personally I think that's a great line, but I mean we'll talk about it. Then we got on the second line Blais, O'Reilly, and Perron. Third line Maroon, Bozak, Bose Lightyear, and Thomas. And then Barbashev, Sundqvist, and Steen. And then when we move to our defense pairings, we got Joel Edmondson, Petrangelo, Bomeister, Pareko, Vince Dunn, and Carl Gunnarsson. And then obviously, it's kind of, if you've been watching any hockey lately, it's hard to not know about the goalie Jordan Bennington, who's like the rookie phenomenon. But I think one thing you gotta say when you look at this roster is I think that Ryan O'Reilly is like such an underrated center, and because he's really great defensively, but he also has good hands, and he's definitely a threat up front. And I actually think that he's a comparable to Bergeron, where Bergeron like plays a shutdown game and everything. Obviously, Bergeron's probably better than O'Reilly, but O'Reilly can definitely hang with him at least, and he's playing on the second line. So when you got a guy like O'Reilly on your second line, like that speaks to the depth that you have. And when again Bozak wasn't a great Leaf because he was playing on the first line, he was playing out of his role. Bozak on your third line, that's a good third line center. So I don't know about you, but I think maybe they're not not so good as they can be equal to the Bruins in terms of depth. But I definitely think that they can hang.
yeah. Honestly, looking at the lines like more carefully, I think that first of all, Schwartz has been playing out of his mind
Yeah,
this postseason with 12 goals. I think Tarasenko is a big name. Like you said, I'd agree with what you said on O'Reilly and Bergeron. They're pretty close. Although, like you said, I'd say Bergeron is a tad higher. Sammy Blais is
yeah,
actually a surprise. He's 22 years old. He's actually surprised me quite a bit. I
Yeah,
was also
for sure.
surprised by Maroon actually being able to handle the speed of the play. Because I was thinking he's getting old. He's not. He doesn't seem that much in shape, and I was thinking he was going downhill.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think he's an unrestricted free agent,
Yeah,
right? And I think someone's really gonna overpay for him this season because of how well he's fit in St. Louis. But I mean, credit to him, he really deserves it because he's found a role, and I mean, he loves playing there. You can tell that he's from St. Louis,
yeah. They actually
and
made a video on it and like how and why he chose St. Louis is because he wanted to be with his
oh, did
kids and
they?
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember watching this interview a while back. I think he was playing in Edmonton at the time or something. But he scored in front of his son, and he watched his son's reaction after the
yeah.
game, and he got like all teary eyed. So it shows that he really wants to play and he really cares. So when you got that kind of a character in the room, it helps a lot. So
Yeah, and then if you think about defense, I'd say they're pretty good. I don't know Edmondson at all. I don't know if he's that good, but I know Pietrangelo is a big name. Parayko is playing amazing, and then I really like Vince Dunn. He's been playing well. So
yeah, I mean, one other thing to note on defense, I think Jay Bomeister, he's been in the league so long and he's never had a crack at the Stanley Cup, and
yeah,
and he's really old, but it's kind of this thing where it's almost like Chara. It's like they're playing for Bomeister and for him to get his chance at finally
yeah,
winning the thing.
that's true. And then in goalie, we all know about Binnington. I don't hate him, but I don't really like him. I don't know why. He just seems like so arrogant. I don't know, but
Arrogant.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why I think
Well,
that,
I think
but
he's more cool. He's
yeah.
cool and like calm. But
But
yeah, I get what you mean.
but
I
he's
get what
still
you mean.
like playing amazing. Like I can't really refute on that. He's a hell of a goalie, especially this year.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if he's just like a Hammond story or what. But that's gonna that's gonna be for
Well,
next year.
you know what? He reminds me a lot about Matt Murray, where Matt Murray isn't. We all knew that. Well, there were some people who said he is like the next great goalie of his generation, but I think in my mind, it was clear that he wasn't gonna be like a 930 goaltender this whole career because like that's just not how it works. So I think the Bennington thing will like wear off, but I think he's definitely a good goalie.
Yeah,
And you look at his stats in the minors and how he's progressed, and there is a steady progression there. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that he's not an NHL goaltender, or even not a starter. I'd say that he's gonna be a starter for at least a few years. But I mean, when you look at how Bennington's been playing this run and how Rask has been playing this run, I'm gonna have to give it to Rask on the goaltending.
yeah, me too. And if I'd have to give the Blues roster a out of 10 score, I'd probably go with. Wait, yeah, I'd have to go with 8.5 to 9.
Yeah,
There's
I
not
think I'd
much
give it.
like
I give it an 8. I
really.
mean, but the thing you think about it, like we'll uh, we'll get into Tarasenko a little bit later because I put him as one of my picks
Yeah,
for Dark Horse. But the same thing with kind of Perron. Like I think I've been a fan of Perron and like how he plays, and I think that he has a lot. He has more to give, and overall, I like Petrangelo. He's been playing good, but I don't know. Like he's got 2 goals. They came in the same game. I think
yeah,
there's more to give there. It's like if you can really push it over the hump and kind of get into the next gear. Like and they played so well, it's hard to ask that of them. But I think there's even more. Like there's something untapped about this roster. But then again, you can't expect everyone to play like Jaden Schwartz is right now all the time. But you know,
yeah. I think they have a pretty good team, and to be honest, they're now in the Stanley Cup final, so they can't really be sad about anything.
No, yeah, they've seized their opportunity
But
for
yeah,
sure, and it's crazy to think that everyone says they are bottom of the league in January, and now
yeah,
they're kind of among the giants.
yeah. That's
So
really unreal.
yeah,
I
I
think.
remember there was a time where we were saying, "Oh, Buffalo's gonna be in the playoffs, and St. Louis is gonna win the first overall pick." Remember that?
So much has
That was
changed.
yeah, that was something else.
But I think
St.
that was a good talk on the both lineups. I don't know if you want to go ahead with your prediction now.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I've been supporting St. Louis through thick and thin, and I really do believe that they can pull this off. But if I'm seriously predicting who I would favor to win, I'm gonna have to go with Boston in 6. Um, but again, it's gonna be a close series. It's gonna be physical. And either team has a chance of winning this. I really think that it could go either way, and my heart's with the Blues because I want to see them get their first Stanley Cup. Oh, I want to see them win their first game in the Stanley Cup final. First of all, because like I
Yeah,
said last episode, they've been 3 times to the final and they haven't won a single game. So I want to see them get that first win and then build on that and eventually win the whole shebang. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Boston in 6 on this one, just because they're that little bit better in terms of skill, I think, and they've got more experience to build on.
yeah. I think I'd have to agree with everything you just said, and I'm also saying Boston in 6, but I don't really see Boston losing unless Tuukka Rask shits the bed.
Yeah, which he can. You know what?
Yeah,
That's the beauty of Tuukka Rask is that you can shit the bed at any time.
he's like a
So
gamble, man. Like any goalie is though, but like I think he is more. Like if he starts losing his temper, that's when you're gonna lose him. Because like you said, he's an emotional goalie, and
yeah,
like I think that would be the only thing that would put me in a situation where I'd have to favor the Blues over Boston. But I'm gonna say Boston in 6, like you.
yeah. I mean, I remember. I think it was last year's playoffs actually, where I remember the specific play where basically the puck came out in front and he was on his post. So then he comes off his post and he squares up to the puck. So he's like at the top of his crease and he's in a good position. But then the thing is, the guy shot the puck. He slid to his side and the puck went top corner in the other direction. And that told me that this guy's guessing. He was square to the puck. He could have just reacted, got his glove on it, and it would have been fine. But he had he kind of just guessed at it, and like that's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be playing mental games with yourself and everything. But I
Yeah.
mean, credit to him, he's not been doing that so far. But we'll have to see how it goes for the rest of this series.
Honestly, even though it's not teams I cheer for, I'm still pretty excited for this Stanley Cup
Yeah,
final.
me too. I mean, you know what, the good thing about this final for me is that last year, I wanted Ovechkin to get his, cup, but I also wanted Vegas to do the unthinkable and win in their first year.
Yeah,
So, both of them were a great story, but this year the beauty of it is that there's a clear person to cheer for in my mind. I'm obviously going to cheer for St. Louis because screw the Bruins. So, I'm a lot more. Well, it's not that I'm more invested. I was definitely invested last year too. But I mean, there's the bad guys and the good guys in my opinion, and I'm cheering for the good guys. So go Blues.
I'm just gonna go NHL because I don't really like any of these teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, go NHL. Go good hockey.
Go good
We're here
hockey.
we're here for some good hockey.
Um, so for the next segment, we're gonna talk about the most important players we think they're gonna be, the chokers, the fire guy, and the dark horse. This has been a segment in the last few episodes. So if we get right into the first one, dark horse, I'm gonna say mine first. Actually, let me give the microphone to you, Lou.
The floor. All right. Well, my pick is Vladimir Tarasenko, And the reason I picked him as my dark horse is like I was talking about guys like Perron who still have more to give uh, in these playoffs. And for me, um, Tarasenko is the quintessential example of that because, although he's played good, he's been scoring goals. He's got 9 goals these playoffs, which is really, it's good. At the same time, I feel like a player of his skill and caliber can go even beyond what he's been doing right now because, you know, he's been a -4, um, and he's not scoring at the same rate he was in the regular season. Like obviously, it's playoffs; it's a different game. But something tells me that a player of his caliber can be doing even more. Um, and his line has been good. Yeah, but the big name is Schwartz, and I feel like Vladimir can be up there as well. So I'm gonna say Vladimir for this one.
He should be their top scorer. Yes, I know that Schwartz is having an unreal year, but still. As for my pick, I picked Marcus Johansson. He's a third liner for Boston. He's got 9 points, +3 in 16 games. And I really think, I remember mentioning it at the trade deadline. I was saying he's going to be really important for the Bruins. And I think that if you watched the first game for the Bruins, you realized how fast he is and how well he handles the puck. And he created
Yeah,
at least 5 chances on his own really well just by skating well and handling the puck. I remember that one time on the power play, he just came through the middle and almost scored right there. He hit the post. And I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah, that was crazy. He just split the defense on that one.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, I'd agree with you. Thing about Johansson is the question was always can he stay healthy, and so far he has, and it's good because you never want to see guys injured. So good for him. He was clearly a really skilled guy and key guy in Washington, and he's been that for Boston too, and it shows once again the depth that both these teams have. When you got guys like Johansson on the third line.
Yeah. And for a second pick for this segment, for the fire guy, I picked, and actually we both picked Tuukka Rask, goalie for the Bruins, because from my perspective, I really think that he's going to keep really, like, if you looked at the first game, he had I think under or at 20 shots, around 20 shots. And that's
Yeah,
a guy that
I think
hasn't
he.
hasn't played for 11 days NHL level game, and he's only had 20 shots. He's allowed I think 2 goals in the first 10 shots, and then came right back and won the game. I think
Yeah,
that's
he shut
really
it down.
speaking to his mental state, like we talked about. I think he's really there in terms of mindset, and I think he's gonna keep firing it up. And now that he's gotten the first game out of the way, the jitters and stuff, I think he's gonna really come back to where he was against Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's made the saves when he's needed to. Is the thing. Like he wasn't spectacular by any means in game one. I'd say, but he was there when he needed to be. He made the saves when he needed to be. And but the thing about Rask is, I feel like if they need him to be spectacular, he can do that as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, I definitely if and it if you got confidence in your goaltending, then that emanates out and affects your whole team when you know that if you need your guy to be to make a big save or something, then he will. So
yeah.
I think that Boston's playing with that confidence now.
And if we look at the series against Carolina, Tuukka Rask only allowed 5 goals in 4 games, which really is amazing,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
that's pretty insane. That's like Jonathan Quick level back in that playoff where he won it for
Yeah,
Los Angeles.
that's unreal. And then finally, for our last pick of this segment, for choker, we both picked Binner. I'm going to let you start with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I don't think he's a bad goaltender by any means, but I just feel like he doesn't yet have the poise and the experience in his career to really win this series for his team because, if the Blues are gonna defeat this kind of behemoth that is Boston, they really need him to almost steal every game. Like not steal every game, but for the home games, they need him to be solid. But even more on the road, they need him to be really, really like stand on his head. Because I don't know if you realize this, but it seems like St. Louis's strategy on the road is be opportunistic.
Yeah.
It's we're not going to get many shots, but when we get those shots, we're going to bury them. And so if they do that, then that's good. But they need the support in their goal to make sure that they don't get outscored. When they're giving up more shots than they're taking. So
Yeah.
Bennington needs to be there, and I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I like I said, I bet on the Blues for this whole playoff, for first round, second round, third round. I bet on the Blues, but I think this is where the road stops for them. But I hope I'm wrong.
What I want to add is I don't think that Binnington is really like gonna choke. I just think that he's not gonna play to the level he's played all year.
He's not gonna rise. He's not gonna rise to the
Yeah,
expectations.
he's just gonna go down in terms of what we're expecting usually from Binnington. It's not gonna be like that bad. It's just I think he's not gonna be as he was during the season.
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't think he's gonna be. I don't even think he's gonna be bad, but I just don't think that he's gonna be the level at which he needs to be for St. Louis Blues to win their first Stanley Cup.
Yeah, exactly. We wanted to talk about the trophies and achievements that come with the final playoffs series. So first off, we have the Conn Smythe. Who do we think is going to win it? I put Rask down because, like we said, he's going to be on, at least from my perspective, he's going to be on fire for the rest of this series. And I think he's the one that deserves it if Bruins win the Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put Rask as well, given that my prediction was that Boston would win the Cup. But if St. Louis pulls off the upset, then I'd definitely have to give it to Schwartz, just because he's been so insane and he's had such a great run. I think he's shooting like above 20% or something like that. And this is a guy who takes a lot of shots, so he's really been playing out of his mind. And also, if a guy like Schwartz can score at the rate he's been scoring, then that might be what it takes to solve Rask. So I think depending on who wins, obviously it's going to go to a different person because they say who wins doesn't really affect where the Conn Smythe goes, but that's not true. I think we all know that. So I'd say either Rask or Schwartz on that one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Schwartz. The other thing that comes in mind is if Binnington really plays well, then you can always give it to him.
Yeah, you could argue that.
It could be a goalies
rookie
matchup, actually.
Yeah, goalies duel.
For a second topic, so let's say first off that the Bruins win the Cup. After Chara, who do you think is going to lift the Cup? And then for the Blues, who do you think is going to lift the Cup after Pietrangelo?
That's a good question. I think that it's a tough one for Boston because there's so many veteran guys there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like flip-flopping between guys like Char or Marchand. I think it might be Marchand for because he's such a like character guy for them. But I think for the Blues, then either it would be Tarasenko because he's really been, I think, loyal to that organization, and I think he's been waiting to go far in the playoffs for a long time now. Or it'd have to be Binnington because, like we said, it's the rookie phenomenon, and you want to see storylines like that. Or personally, I want to see storylines like that come to a good end with Binnington lifting the cup. So
yeah, and for me, I'd have to agree with all you said, but I'm gonna have to take a different perspective here. For the Bruins, I'm gonna have to go with Chara handing it off to Bergeron, just because I think that underneath all of the Chara being captain, I think Bergeron would be a captain. And so I think it would just kind of be a move like captain to captain kind of. That would be amazing.
Mm,
Um,
that's
and,
true.
and then for the Blues, I'd have to say Bouwmeester, if not Bennington. I'd like to
Yeah, that's
see.
a good pick.
I'd have to. I'd like to see Tarasenko, like you said, he's been loyal, or Bennington as a rookie. But I think he's going to hand it off to Bouwmeester because, like you said, he's old. He's been waiting for the cup, and I think Pietrangelo understands that. He's also been waiting for a long time, and I think he'd want to give it to the veteran Bouwmeester on that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. And both of them are, well, especially Bergeron, I'd say, is a real warrior, playing with
Yeah,
a punctured lung and everything in the past. So, I mean, either one of those or any one of those players that we've cited definitely deserve it, I'd say.
yeah, I'd agree with that. And then finally,
Um,
the final thing: who, in your opinion, is going to score the final goal in the playoffs?
um, it's a tough one, but you know what? Just because it's silly season, and just because I can, I'm gonna say Achari because
Really?
he had a great game one, and I just want to see like one of the fourth liners get their moment of glory because I don't like in those big moments. I don't know if it's ever really who you'd expect, and honestly, for for the first game, I didn't really see that much of that first line being that effective. Like obviously, Pasternak had that horrible giveaway where he passed it behind the net and it just ended up in the back of his net,
Yeah.
super fast. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a silly answer. I'm gonna say like Achari or someone like some fourth liner like that for the Bruins.
I'm gonna honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Marchand. Although I agree with your reasoning, I think from what we've seen from the Carolina series, I think Boston Bruins get more comfortable, or the top line gets more comfortable as they play more and more against a certain team. And I think by the end of that like sixth game, the first line, Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand is going to really be comfortable against those. And I think Marchand is going to collect that final goal for the
Mm.
Bruins.
I can see that, but also what you need to think about, I'd say, is that when you think about the Blues, like I said, their first two lines are really strong, especially at the center position with Shen and Ryan O'Reilly. So some part of me thinks that guys like Pasternak and Marchand and Bergeron are going to be hard matched against those strong defensive stars that the Blues has. So that's one of the other reasons where I'm like, okay, like Sundqvist's line and like Vince Dunn is gonna be out there. Well, not to call out Vince Dunn or anything. He's like a solid third line guy, but like so that's why it's the depth is gonna be really important, and maybe some depth guy is gonna get that moment of glory.
Yeah, I was just referring to like Marchand probably being on the PowerPoint, but yeah, both our reasonings still
Yeah.
make sense. I think that was it for the covering like the playoffs or the final series. Actually, I don't know if you have anything else to shoot out there.
No, I think we pretty much covered it all,
Okay.
but we can move on to international hockey that's been going on because I do want to touch on that. We got Canada losing in the final, which is a kind of a heartbreaking, but even more heartbreaking for me is my home country of France being demoted to the second tier of the IHF hockey, losing to Great Britain and blowing a 3-0 lead. I would just like to say that
Ouch.
I'm heartbroken. Je suis outré. Uh, no, I think it's too bad because you know, oftentimes what happens in these tournaments is like, the stars are still playing. Like, for example, Pasternak wasn't playing for the Czechs or something like that. But it's too bad because we still had guys like Texier was playing for France, and obviously there's other guys that could have been playing like maybe Roussel or guys like that, but I really thought that we were so much better than Bryn. And, we really let it slip. Obviously, I'm not going to bore you guys too much because I care about this a lot more than probably the majority of people do. But either way, I think we'll be back. And congratulations to Great Britain because, to be fair, it's a good story, and I always want to see the game grow. So yeah,
hockey lives on.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be back in 2020 or whatever it is.
And as for me, it pains me to see Canada losing against Finland.
Oh yeah, boo-hoo. No, I'm kidding.
Because, like...
Oh, a Canadian hockey fan, it's so hard for me. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, like, you see so many NHL players for Canada, and then you see Finland, which I don't think they really had any.
Yeah, did they even have a NHL? I'm trying to think.
But I don't think so. Because they didn't have, like, Barkov or Laine or any of those guys.
No.
But, like... I
think I saw this crazy stat where it's like they either had 2 NHL goals or actually 0 NHL goals on their roster, and they still managed to beat guys like Russia and Canada, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, to me it's insane because like you look at a team made with NHL players and they're losing. Like I don't know. Like first of all, where's Crosby, Subban, Weber, Domi, all those guys? Where are they? Like none of the good players said yes, and we were stuck with like Turris as our captain. Like that sucks. And I just think
Big man Cal Turris.
Yeah, I just think that even though we had NHL players and they didn't, we were still missing something. Like they had some edge over us. Like,
well,
I don't know.
To be fair, I think it was a little bit of a miracle run by Finland because their goalie played great. The shots are like 44 to like 20 or something like that. So I think it's pretty fair to say that Canada should have won that game. But I think we were talking a few episodes ago about how good Finland's been getting at developing talent. With like Kakko coming up this draft, which is going to be absolutely insane. And obviously we're familiar with Kotkaniemi as Habs fans, but like again, it shows that like not only are they developing talented guys, but they're also developing guys that know how to play with structure and who know how to just find a way to win,
Yeah, and also about Kakko, he's actually not going to attend the NHL Combine. He hasn't posted an excuse as to why, but he's actually not going, which is actually surprising in my opinion.
Huh. Yeah, that's strange. Maybe there's something... Well, obviously, you don't want to start false rumors. I'm sure there's rumors swirling already about that, but I wonder if there's something going on there. Like maybe he's injured in some way and like he doesn't want to devalue his stock. But like, thinking he's really proven himself, I think, and I'd still say that Hughes goes first overall. But either way, whoever gets Kakko and whoever gets Hughes,
you're gonna be
they're
pretty
gonna
happy.
be lucky to have him. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good spot to end the cast. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Make sure to subscribe on our social medias and follow us. For example, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Soundcloud, depending on where you're listening to this. But the links will be in the description. And make sure, if you have any questions, comments, or anything at all to say, you can leave your comments. We always love seeing feedback. But I think that'll do it for this one. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and sign off here. We're gonna potentially do a live draft episode, which would be pretty insane. So stay tuned for that. But either way, we'll be seeing you guys next time.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The Young Guns is not going to be over.
No, far from it. All right. My name is Louie.
My name is Tyler.
And we'll see you guys next time.